I'm Jim Collison and live from the Gallup campus here in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Gallup's Called to Coach, recorded on September 6th, 2019. Called to Coach is a resource for those who want to help others discover and use their strengths. Today is a special community update for September 2019. If you're listening live, join us in the chat room. Best way to get your questions in live, or you can send us your questions, coaching@gallup.com. Austin Solentrop is our guest today. Austin is the new, or I don't know how much longer I can say that, but the new CliftonStrengths portfolio manager. He basically bosses me around here at Gallup. And Austin, welcome back to Called to Coach.
Thank you so much, Jim. Appreciate it.
Good to have you. Hey, kick us off. We got a lot to cover today, and we're excited about the material. Kick us off.
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, thanks for having me. It's good to be with all of you here live and watching recorded later. We've been talking about this big shift and this big migration of the sunsetting of GallupStrengthsCenter.com and the merging of all of that into Gallup Access. We've been talking about this for months. We've been alluding to it for a long time. We're really excited. You all have been tremendously patient with us as we've been developing all the technology and building the features and making sure that this experience is as smooth and seamless as possible. And what's exciting is today we get to start showing you what it looks like, right? You've been taking our word for it on a lot of stuff, and now we get to start showing it to you. So I'm psyched to get the chance to demo this site for you today. As Jim mentioned, we're going to be going through this sort of in a controlled way first. Like we're gonna sort of show you some features and functions, and then any questions you have, throw them in the chat. Right? Ask them, type them. Jim will be monitoring the questions, and then at the end we'll try to answer whatever we can. But if there's some unique or detailed or things we can't get to in this, we've got 3 demos set up next week that are really designed to be more heavily intensive Q&A. So because we're getting into the nitty-gritty details of this site today, I brought in the expert on the platform, Emily Turnus, who's going to be joining us today as well. She's going to be walking us through some of the real detailed sort of features and functions of this. Emily is everything you like about this site, Emily made happen. Right. So there's no credit to Jim Collison or Austin on this. This is all Emily's doing. We're just the faces and the connection point to the community in that sense. Right. So Emily, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Yeah, I'm excited to show it off. So
absolutely. So again, y'all want to see this? Let's do this. Let's jump in. So I'm gonna start by sharing my screen and let's go. There we are. When you log into Gallup Access and you go to the Strengths page on Gallup Access, right? This is going to be what a user lands on, sort of the user's dashboard, if you will, right? And what this user that we're imitating, we're on a internal QA site, so this is not gone live yet, right? It goes live in 2 weeks. So when we log in, this is a user who has full 34 code access. This is somebody who's got their full 34 report, right? And when you see this Bryson Gilmore here, right, this is the user's name and their top 5. And below it, you'll see sort of a visualization of their top 5 with domain colors next to it. You'll see the standard sort of 1 sentence, 2 sentence definition here, and then an opportunity to learn more, right? So here's what we're going to do. I want to introduce you first to the tabs across the top. If you're used to using Gallup Strength Center, most of these look very familiar, right? You have a link into their reports, a link into resources, a lot of great tools and so forth that live there. You see your community tab we've had on Gallup Strength Center. That's new to access, right? So we have not had that inside access before, but those of you from GSC are comfortable with that. And then the Teams functionality, right? So all those tabs, this is what Emily's going to walk through in greater detail here in a few minutes. I'm going to walk you through this main page. So you see the user, and you see these are quick links here to click and share your user's results directly through social media. So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, right? You'll see a domain key, right? So for those users who aren't as familiar with our domains or the color coordination there, you'll see a key there so they know what these colors are referencing, right? But then you'll also see here in the bottom right, this is something that's new, which is the algorithm that we use to determine which domain you lead with, right? So if you look at this user has full 34 unlocked, right? So we have an algorithm that sort of computates based upon the intensity of all your themes, which is your most dominant domain. So this user, it's strategic thinking. So it's sort of a great little summary here of, hey, you're at your best when you're in that using those thinking themes, right? Great sort of thought and time in your mind, cerebral activity. This is something that is sort of it was debuted in the 34 report, but is really the first time we're bringing it into the dashboard like this, right? Now, if I'm looking on this at the top and I want to learn more, for example, about input, I can just click on Learn More. And this is a big shift for a lot of us in terms of where this goes now. In the past, this would take us to it would click and it would have an option for a video or an option for a PDF, right? Now it takes us into a more of a click-through interactive module talking about the input, the theme in action. There's that theme testimonial video that we've all used for years. There's the power and edge. If this is dominant for me, if it's lesser for me. And right here is where I can still get access to that one-page static PDF that we've been using, where it's all sort of summarized. So you still have access to the same resource, but now we're making it sort of a little bit more of an interactive experience. And these modules we have for all 34 themes. They're housed in that resources section, right? But I can click directly into them from my report or from my summary tab here, right? So that's sort of the first thing people see. But if you're curious, there's a lot more down below, right? So if you notice now, we've had the reports tab up top. We now have a view all reports tab here as well, a clicker. One of the pieces of feedback we've received over the years, both in Access and on GSC, is that, you know what, it sometimes can be tricky to find my reports. That I got to go to a specific place to find them. So we've given access to your reports in many places. You'll have the ability to get to your reports through a lot of different avenues. So this is the first place here, as well as the tab up top where you can go straight to your whole bevy of reports. But if I keep scrolling down here, we're bringing in the imagery of the DNA strand straight from our 34 report, right? So again, this person's taken the assessment and they have their 34 results unlocked. So when you look at this now, you can see that my top 10 are highlighted, and then 11 through 34 are a little bit more sort of grayed out, but they're still there. I can see them, but they're not as prominent. So if I want to look at my number one, I hover over it, and everything else goes a little bit lighter, it more prominent, and I can see on my strand where it falls. But it works that way for all the themes. I can hover over any of them, my dominant, my supporting, my lesser, it doesn't matter, right? I can sort of click through and hover over and see where that theme lands for me, making the page itself more appealing, more visual, more sort of enticing for them. Let's say I'm looking and I'm curious about self-assurance. I can click on self-assurance and there's the standard definition. I can click to learn more and it takes me straight to that module we looked at earlier about self-assurance. Same content here as we saw for the input one earlier, right? So we're giving, again, one of the things Access is sort of predicated around is learning driven. So trying to give content to people as much as we can so they can continue their learning experience, right? So as I continue to scroll down, here's now the third different place I'm seeing the option to view my reports, right? Where I can click here and it takes me straight to sort of my page dedicated to my reports. Towards the bottom, I see CliftonStrengths themes. This is part of like the resources section here where I can learn more about the themes. I can learn more about the domains, right? So it's sort of the high volume things we see, the ones that people are looking for the most. We put that content there and I can single click here into my any reports I have access to, right? So I can click here and pull up my theme sequence, my signature theme and so forth, right? Or I can click here and go to a page where all my reports are listed as well. Towards the bottom, here you have self-paced learning modules for all. So sort of all users get access to this right here at the bottom, right? So they're similar to that click-through module on the theme specific. It's an introduction, sort of what do I do next? How do I share my strengths with other people? So these are again driving the learning experience so the user is always being pushed to learn and to expand their knowledge, right? And then at the bottom, we have sort of opportunity to show more about what their other opportunities are through access, additional learning outside of those modules. And then at the bottom, we'll always have some sort of what else do we have to offer here, right? So featured products. So if they're interested in purchasing more codes, they can purchase the codes through here. If they're curious about our books or about any courses we have to offer, those are going to be listed here at the bottom. So it's a much more dynamic landing page here in that there's a lot of content. We're very excited about how it looks, how it feels, how it flows, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually sort of take a deep breath, pause here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let Emily take over, as Emily is going to dive deeper into each of those tabs to sort of show you what it looks like inside those in a little bit more detail. So Emily, go for it.
Great. Thanks, Austin. So I am going to go through the other areas of the interface to get a deeper dive into those. So we'll start with reports. As Austin said, we have call outs for this throughout, but as you go to the reports tab, you'll see every report that you have access to. If you're a 34 user, that's going to be the most prominently displayed one. We do have the video from Strength Center that goes through the 34 and talks about how to understand it, how to consume it, and just gives you an overview of that report before you download it and start to get into it yourself. Then you'll scroll down, and this is an all 34 user, so they have the availability to see 4 different reports. If you were to have strengths-based leadership, you'd also have those tiles available as well to download. As you scroll down, we have the additional learning callouts so that you can dig into the modules and the learning opportunities from Access in this area as well. So scrolling back up and going into resources, this is where, for a 34 user, you're going to see your e-learning LMS module. So this is the module that we have on Gallup Strength Center as an interactive, and it is now within the LMS itself. So you can walk through that to learn a little bit more about your strengths and really get a deeper understanding there. Scrolling down, then we have the modules, again, that we've been calling out on the other tabs, as well as the ability to go into our resources area for learning. As we keep scrolling, then we have the StrengthsFinder 2.0 ebook for download, the ability to download that to your tablet, again, for an all 34 user. For a top 5, this would not be available. We'd encourage you to upgrade for that. Again, we have Gallup Strength Center artifacts of a certificate creator and create a drop. So these were available on Strength Center, and we wanted to make them available forever as they are the resources that many people use and love. When we click on the certificate creator, it brings up a input where you can see your top 5. It gives the color of the domain and an easily printable interface.
Emily, let me jump in on the certificate creator because we get some questions on this. This is really designed for the individual to print their own, not for a coach to create certificates. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep. So then for a drop, then this is the ability to give recognition to others. So you're able to customize it through color, type in your message directly onto it, and then you're able to either print or save it, and then either hand it out to that person or upload it to an email and send it out. So moving on from there, then we again have our featured products that we want to highlight and serve up knowledge around other opportunities that we have for learning, for books, courses, and also for codes purchasing. As we scroll back up to the next tab is our community tab. It is very, very similar to Gallup Strength Center in looks and functionality with a few enhancements or changes. So we have the users sharing with me. So these are the ones that are sharing their strengths and their reports with you. You're able to see their top 5. You're able to download their individual reports, whatever they have chosen to share. You're able to quickly share back. So this is one where if they're sharing with you and you want to share back, we have a quick link with everything filled in for you. All you need to do is hit share. You could edit this, if you so choose that you don't want to send them every report. We also have the ability to remove them from your interface. And you can see at the top, someone has shared their strengths with me, and that's a pending share that I need to go and review and decide if I want to accept it or decline it. When you do initiate a share, you're able to select which reports you want to share with them, and then send in or type in the email address of the individual. They will receive an email asking them if they want to accept the sharing from you. And when they do, then they will show up here. And then for you, you're able to see, who am I sharing with? So these are the individuals that I have sent my strengths to and show up on their interface. I can see what reports I've shared with them, and I can edit that. So if I previously was not sharing something and I wanted to now share another report with them, I'm able to do that, save it, and then they would immediately see that on their dashboard. I'm also able to remove that. So if I was no longer affiliated with that person and I wanted to have my strengths removed from their dashboard, choosing the remove button would do that. So going back to the users sharing with me, we've added the functionality to export into a spreadsheet from this area. So when I click on Export Strengths, I now have an interactive where I can click and start adding individuals to my download. And at the bottom, you can see 3 users have been selected and ready for download. So when I've selected everyone that I would like to have added, I hit the download button. And then I'll be able to see everyone that I've included in my export with the ability to remove them if I so chose. When I'm ready, I hit export, and that spreadsheet will go down to my download, and I'm able to click on it and show very similar spreadsheet to what we have today on Gallup Strength Center in terms of their name, their email address, and their themes. We did remove the SF date, but kept every other column that we had previously on Gallup Access in the same format.
Great. So Emily, I appreciate it. I think this is I know there's a lot of desire and interest in the export functionality, right? And right now on Strength Center, it does not live in the communities tab, right? It lives somewhere else. So it's important to know, everybody, when you come over into Access in a couple of weeks, this is where you're going to get the export sort of feature built out. This is where you're going to have it initially. This is where it's going to come in the way that Emily just showed us. So thank you, Emily. I appreciate you sharing that.
Austin, let me make a clarification on communities here, because I think this is important. John had asked in the chat room, search functionality. Not yet. We don't have the search turned on yet. That's in here. And sorting is by newest to oldest in this. So as you think about people sharing their information with you, we've gone through a couple iterations of what's the best way to sort it out the gate. And it seemed to fall on, hey, someone just shared with me. I don't want to have to go search deep to find that thing. I want to find that up front. As we continue to work with this in 2019 and the rest of 2020, we'll begin to kind of get some feedback on you. How are you using this? How's it working? And continue to take enhancements on this as well. So just some clarification on that piece.
Yeah, great call out there, Jim. We do like to go out the gate with kind of our first iteration and then get feedback and change according to what makes the most sense for users, instead of building something very, very robust and fully featured and then not have it resonate with our users. So your feedback is definitely valued and helps us shape how we change and improve this feature.
Emily, just Hannah had asked, she had a little hiccup in her stream. You can select a group, right? You can go in there and group these up and then export them all together, correct?
Yeah, so when you hit Export Strengths, then you're able to select anyone you want. And if you have more than, I'm only showing 5, but then you just paginate through and keep hitting, selecting those users. No
capabilities today to group these people into groups?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Not today.
Not today.
We are listening, but not today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good on questions so far. So good. Keep your
Great.
questions coming in via the chat room. We like that.
All right. Well, that was a deep dive into those tabs. I'm going to throw it back to Austin to go through our next area.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Now let me get my screen back up. So we've showed you so far, right? We've shown you the full 34 experience and those first 4 tabs. I wanted to show you, there were a couple questions in here that have been around. Okay, well, what if I only have top 5? So I wanted to show you, if I have top 5 access, this is an example here of what a top 5 user would see. So again, same feel, right? Same learn more, but this domain you lead with down here, you can see there it's grayed out. That's only something that we release with the 34 results, right? It's only something that we release with 34 results. So what you do have is the ability to click through right here and upgrade. So the user can come in here, click through and upgrade. If I scroll down to look at the periodic table, right? Again, since I only have top 5 access, the 6 through 34 are blanked out, but I still have the same functionality here around. If I click on my top 5, I can still get in here and do the learn more about, right? So all of that is very similar, right? It looks the same. It's going to flow the same. Still have access to go to all the other things, but the reports are fewer accesses granted, and we provide the opportunity for one click into the purchasing experience to upgrade. Now, many of you have asked about or are curious about this Teams feature. If you were to, when you move over, what we're showing you here is if you move over without a subscription into the consumer model in 2 weeks, and you click on Teams, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a driver here to have you get in touch with somebody at Gallup to talk about the subscription. We do that because we want to make sure that this is the right thing for you. We don't want to drive everybody into a subscription if that's not the right thing for you. So the best thing you can do is connect with one of our salespeople, one of our experts who can really talk through if the subscription makes sense for how you're using this, the volume you're using it for, and so forth, right? Because that is something that we don't want to give a blanket statement that everybody needs to get a subscription if it wouldn't make sense for you. So I encourage you to get in, play around with the system, see if it does everything you need it to do in the short term. And if you're curious about a subscription, get in touch with somebody to talk about it, right? There are some enhanced features that do come with a team subscription, but it's not something that's necessarily going to be needed for everyone, right? So the top 5 versus full 34, that's really the big difference. Is these things are going to be grayed out, but be giving you the opportunity to upgrade. Okay. So
Austin, let me throw a few things. There's been a few things in the chat room. One, Emily mentioned this, but strengths-based leadership still available. It's still top 5 or 34, still available through the purchase of the book. So you still need to purchase the book. There's a code in there. They can redeem it. That will unlock that report for them. So no changes there. Strengths Quest is not changing. So strengthsquest.com, or Emily mentioned Clifton Strengths for Students. You can buy that book through the store. One of the things that's coming because we're doing this is a unified store. So we heard you guys didn't want the 8 stores that we had or whatever we had at one point in time. We are beginning to combine all those together. This is really the first move to get that. So yes, you can purchase the Clifton Strengths for Students book. It's available on that site as well. If you want to get that and purchase it for someone, you can do it. It does make purchasing things a little bit easier. We're going to talk about that here towards the end, but that's coming up as well. Code management as well. So hang tight on code management. We'll talk about that here in just a few minutes.
Yeah. So what I do want to do is I'm going to show real briefly. Give me 1 second. Get my screen pulled back up. I do want to give you just a sneak peek into what the team subscription will enable you to see, right? So if you do have a subscription, if it does make sense for you, right, then this is where we would encourage you to go, right? Which would be creating teams in here, which can, if you have a team built in the team subscription, one of the things you're going to see is you're going to see the team's composition here. So the team's top 5 collectively, the domain, the frequency with which that theme shows up. A quick way to get in here and see team members, create drops for recognition of those team members, right? But then you also have access into 3 different styles of team reporting at the moment, right? So the first one that's most commonly used, that we get the most requests for, right? The people who utilize the most is a team grid. And so we do have team grids that are sort of auto-generated based upon the teams you've created in your subscription here, and the ability to toggle between 1 through 5, adding 6 through 10, 11 through 29, and 30 through 34, right? So it's a team grid you have the ability to use here based upon the team you created, and the ability to export this into a PDF, into an Excel spreadsheet, or to be able to have that same export you did earlier, that from the community feature, the same style of that, where it's just name, email, and strengths, as sort of exporting the strengths to spreadsheet in that fashion. So if you wanted to use it for mail merges and things along those lines, you have that, right? So that's something we have that also comes with one of the things here. We've taken, I'm working with our experts, our consultants, and the people who've been using this for years. We've created a quick sort of how-to guides for this. Like, so what do I do with my team grid? And this is some great guidance from some of our best consultants and course leaders over the years that have sort of said, here's how you make sense of the team grid you're looking at, right? So that's an idea of how it works and what it looks like a little bit.
And just a reminder, access subscription required for the advanced team functionality. That's in there.
Yep. So just wanted to give a sneak peek into that. If you're curious about a subscription, if you were wanting to learn more about that, get in touch with one of our Gallup experts. We'll be happy to talk to you about that. Right?
You can also email coaching@gallup.com if you want to do that. If you're listening to this and you're like, I want to get some more information, I have a salesperson, call me back, get that done. We are offering today, we have kind of one package for subscriptions. And so it's a $1,500 subscription to come in on that. There's a whole bunch of things around that. So we don't want to spend a ton of time kind of covering it because it kind of depends. And we don't want to confuse people with that. So we are working on additional coaching packages for the future, and those would come no earlier than the first of the year. So hang tight with us on that. If you're really serious and want to dive into it, get in a conversation with us, and we'll cover more of that functionality in later webcasts.
Absolutely. Emily, you want to jump in now to the code management side?
Yeah, for sure. So I will share my screen again and go through a few more things. So wanted to talk about code management and go through how it's changed, how it stays the same somewhat from Gallup Strength Center. So when you come to Gallup Access Code Management, you can find it in the menu, and you'll see when you get in there that, that you'll have the strengths or the codes that you have available will be across the top. So if I had top 5, I would see those. And this shows you your available codes under that code type. So then we have codes separated into bundles. So you're able to purchase codes and they come into code management in that order, but then you're able to move them around. So if I were to purchase one order, purchase another order, purchase a third, I could move those between bundles and change the availability. When you do select a bundle and you dig into it, you're able to transfer or distribute codes, and this is where you would transfer. You're also able to check out the activated codes. So in this bundle, I have 3 available codes and I have distributed 1. So when I distribute, I have the options of sending it in an email invite, so I can type in the user's email address and the English and the language that we want to send it in, and then send them. And it is a Gallup pre-canned email that we have it's an invitation to take CliftonStrengths. And there's a button in that email that takes the person directly into the portal in order to start the assessment. So no longer do they have to put in an actual code. The email invite route has the code embedded within, and when they click a button, it will automatically redeem the code and send them over to Gallup Access to start the assessment after they register as a user. You also have the ability to send out physical codes as we have done in the past. So we wanted to give multiple options so that you have the flexibility to use whatever makes most sense in your process. So once you have distributed those codes, you're able to go into the distributed codes area and look at what's out there. So distributed means that they have been sent out, but they have not been redeemed. So in this area, you can see exactly who you've sent it to if you've done the email invite route. If you've done the physical codes, you can see the physical code. You just can't see the email address because it is just out there to be claimed by whomever you've given it to. In this, you can see what language you sent it in, the date you sent it, and then we do process the job. So it might be processing or it might be sent. If you click on a user, then you have some options you can manage. You can send a reminder. So this is a Gallup reminder that goes out to the user to remind them that they have an outstanding invitation to take CliftonStrengths. You can also retract the code. So if you've sent a code to someone and you've decided that you would like that one back to redistribute, you can retract it. As you do that, you get a confirmation. And if you were to retract that code, the code no longer exists for that person. And now I have 4 available codes left. So I can redistribute that code to whomever I wanted to. And then you also, as I had mentioned before, have the transfer option. So I only have one bundle here because I've only made one purchase, so I don't have this ability. But when you do have multiple purchases, that is a enhancement over Gallup Strength Center where they are quote unquote stuck in the bundle that you purchased them in. In the new world, if you've purchased multiple times, you can move those available usages between bundles to distribute in the way that makes the most sense. In activated, I can't really show you because I don't have any activated right now, but what we will see here is the person's name, the code that they redeemed, and the status. So it will tell you, has that person redeemed a code but not finished the assessment? Or has that person completed the assessment and the date that they did it? That way, it's a very easy way to see participation of the people that you've distributed to either remind them to take the assessment or to see that they have completed, and then I can go check out their strengths in my community. Because we do still have the ability to, as soon as someone uses a code that was purchased by you, those people will automatically be shared to your community, and so that you can see their strengths and generate their reports. That's the same functionality from Gallup Strength Center. You can
keep going. Sorry.
Oh, and the only other call out I was going to make is that these are single-use type codes. So when you purchase these, we no longer have the multi-use code where you had purchased 20 uses and it was all attached to one code that could be misused or used more than once by people. Now these are single use so that every person has their unique code, and you can manage those by retracting or distributing the way you see fit.
Emily, that email that's sent, is that customizable so that they could change if they wanted to add their own pieces in there? Could they do that?
Nope, that one is not customizable. But it is very generic in terms of you've been invited to take CliftonStrengths. Please click get started. It's a little bit more verbose than that. But if you do want to have a customized email, then you'd want to go the route of a physical code that you would create your email and add the code to it.
Okay, so basically cut and paste out of that, the link, the customized link into your own template and send it?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then Joan asks, are these codes only available to certified coaches? And this part of code management is open to everybody, correct?
Correct. Yep. As soon as someone purchases, they get code management opened up to them.
And just a clarification on the change. In order to get this functionality, it's one code per user now. And we're making that change on that. This is from a community standpoint, this has been a debate we have gone back and forth on in the community a ton. There are those who are like, no, I only like bulk codes because I don't want to have to remember or manage all these things. I just got an email from somebody in India yesterday who would send a bulk and a user had used it 3 times. And so that's been hard as well. Austin, this may be another peak as we think about on subscription. There are some additional, and maybe Emily, you can talk about that. When you're on a Gallup Access subscription, you've got the ability to do both. Is that correct?
Right.
That is correct. So there are some features and functionality available on the subscription level that I'm not going through today. In one of those is multi-use. So in a subscription, when you create that bundle, you have the option to say this is a multi-use bundle, that all the codes in here are going to be multi-use, or the single use. So you have that availability. And the other, there's a few other features that come along with a subscription that are over and above what I'm showing today.
Yeah. And so here's the deal. So most of our coaches, I'm hearing from them in the chat room, they don't like this. Most of our high volume coaches are going you're going to want to reach out to us on a subscription anyway. So if you like the bulk purchases, you're going to get way better code management. And again, we're going to demo that at another time in another webcast. But you're going to get more functionality to do what you did before. There was a question in there about what about my existing, Emily? So I have 1,000 existing codes on the GSC. How will those come across?
So those will come across exactly how they look today. So you can see that it looks a little bit similar to Gallup Strength Center's interface, where we have the name of the code and then the availability there. So you'll see in your new world in Gallup Access a bundle for every single individual code you purchased on Gallup Strength Center. You'll see the available uses. So if you had one code that had 5 available uses left on Gallup Strength Center, you'll see that come across with 5 in the available section. And if that code had been used by 6 people, you'll see 6 people in the activated section. So we're trying to exactly replicate what's on Gallup Strength Center so that it is familiar to you, and it also respects everything that was done from an availability versus used perspective. They will also come across, and this is the one difference, they will come across as multi-use. So you will have multi-use bundles in the beginning until you've exhausted all of the Gallup Strength Center codes. And then as you purchase additional codes, those will be single use. So you will have the multi-use ability until those Gallup Strength Center codes are finished.
Joan had asked, does code management still allow me to receive the reports, or do I still need to get them from the client? At this point, we kind of covered that in the community section. So now you buy the codes, they will show up in your community section, and you can do those things and export them from there. That's no longer a function of the code management. We've taken that, kind of pulled that out, moved that over to communities. Am I correct in that, Emily?
Yes. So we still have the auto sharing, where when someone uses their a code purchased by you, then their strengths and reports automatically are in your community. That's the same today, this new world, as it was in Strength Center, but that's the only place it will be. It will no longer be in code management.
Yeah. So it's separating those pieces out. Austin, would you add anything to that?
Yeah, I think the big thing, I'm seeing some questions down here about can we get a listing of all the features that come with an access subscription, without, and so forth? Absolutely. We have that as part of the communications sort of docket that's going out in our regular communications pattern. So I'll see about getting that file shared maybe sooner with this group through Jim, so you can sort of see laid out one clean spot what features are there and what are not with each level. I think the idea and some of the feedback we're hearing around the single use versus multi-use, and as Jim said, we've gotten a lot of feedback on both sides of the aisle on this one, and so it's a tough sort of thing for us to lean on. Again, if you're curious, if you have questions about this is why we're doing the demo this way, so that we can get some feedback, get some questions from you, and answer them as best as we can. So I appreciate all the questions and concerns on this. So thank you guys.
Yeah, and we're still there'll be some. We could spend probably 2 hours answering everybody's questions. We'll try to get to those as we go. You can still reach out to me. There'll be a lot. Trust me, you guys are going to reach out to me throughout the weekend on these. One of the things I would say before you email or post this in Facebook or do any of those kinds of things, go back and watch this again, because I'm seeing a bunch of questions in the chat room we kind of answered. And so, there's a lot of things going on. You're trying to keep up with the chat room. You're trying to keep up with us. You're trying to see some things. Before you do that, take another 45 minutes or so, an hour, and go back and watch it again and just kind of soak it in a little bit. There are changes. Nobody likes change. There are some changes coming. We've worked really, really hard to kind of make it a smooth transition. I think, Emily, one question I will ask you that we haven't covered yet, I think. If I'm a coach and I have 50 or 100 coming to a session, and I bought individual codes for them to be able to do this, on that email that goes out to that group, do I have to individually send emails to each one of those or will the system generate, if I use our generic templated email, will that blast to everybody at the same time?
It sends to everyone at the same time. You do enter their email addresses one by one. So when I go to distribute and send codes, you'll enter their email address, and this actually will not be here. I'm in a client right now. And then you'll select the language. And so we have all these languages available in our template. And then you'll be able to type that in, and you do have to type it in one by one. But then as you hit send, it will send to everyone at the same time.
Okay, so that's still fairly labor intensive. They'd be a spreadsheet, copy, paste it in, hit send, copy, paste it in. That could be a little labor intensive for large groups, right?
Yes, and so and it is spelled out in the documentation about the differences. With a subscription, we do have that Excel upload ability. So instead of typing in one by one, with a subscription, you can upload a spreadsheet. And then you also can customize the template when you have a subscription.
Okay, good.
I will really quickly, I can show you the generic template when I go through this area. So it says you are invited. And so it does give you a snapshot every time you send out, that you're able to see what it looks like. And it just talks about the benefits of taking the assessment, what it will do for you, and then it tells you to get started. And that's where you will be taken to Gallup Access to register and then start the assessment.
Yeah, I do know some coaches have their own templates, their own instructions, their own things they're trying to do, and not as convenient. We'll work through some of those things. Again, we'll be taking your feedback.
Yep.
As we go. By the way, very calm feedback is listened to a lot more than the world, the sky is falling. So be patient with us as we work through these pieces. Work with me on it. I take all that feedback and get it into the team. There's a lot of things we've actually changed in the last 2 months as I've taken feedback from you guys as we've been talking about this. So a lot of good stuff there. What else do we want to do? We got about 15 minutes or so. What else do we want to cover?
I did want to show the purchasing the new store a little bit more and talk a little bit about the coach's discount. So if I jump back over to our new interface and show the top 5 user and the grayed out areas, when you want to jump into unlock all 34, if you click on this, it will take you to our product detail page for the 34 upgrade. And you can see that we've built out quite a bit on our new store. As Jim alluded to, we're trying to consolidate our different presences, and we've consolidated quite a few, but we have a few more that we are working toward. But this is our new look of the store. And you can see we've talked a lot about how it works and giving you some FAQs. If we go back to the main Gallup store, then you'll see where we have the all 34 highlighted. We have the ability to dive into categories and then some persona-based into categories. So if I'm a manager or team, I can do and learn about what tools there might be for me in that world. But as you decide upon what you want to purchase, and if you want to buy all 34 codes, we look at that product detail page and we can add it to our cart. Oopsie.
Always in a demo. Always in a demo that happens. Yes.
Yep. On QA, it's always a wild ride to see what what you find.
By the way, if you're listening to the podcast version of this and you're trying to get all of this out of, you might want to come over to the YouTube side and watch the video for it. I just kind of realized that we should have put that disclaimer out in the very beginning, like, hey, audio listeners, you might want to come to the video.
This would be a tough podcast to listen to and make sense of. Just Emily's soothing voice talking as nothing is seen.
I'm going to check out, and I do need to log in, I believe, because I think I've timed out. But as I do that, so you put things in your cart, and then I was logged in. Great. So then you go into your cart and you can see that there's some options here where you have the redeem promotional code. So in here is where you would enter your coach's discount code that you'll be being sent after in an email. So where your previous, it's very similar to how we did it on Access before with the promotional code, and you enter that, apply it, and it will take the $10 that is our current offering for the coach's discount. So it's very easy interface to be able to get that discount for you.
Yeah, and let me say, we'll be sending you new discount codes. This is kind of the reason why you got 350 more. This year, we needed to completely replace the system that we use for that. And so we'll be sending you individual discount codes for you. You can share those, by the way, if you want.
Yep.
I don't know why you would, but you could. And when the 350 hits, you're done for the year again. And so this is the process you would go. Currently in the Gallup Strengths Center, that would automatically apply. And with the new store that we have, we just couldn't get that done reliably in time. And so for this year, you'll need to input that code in there. So when you get that email from us and you get that update, make sure you safeguard that thing, put it in a couple places, back it up, those kinds of things.
Yep.
You might want to hold on to it.
Yep.
So I want to sort of make a couple comments, I think, to sort of wrap this up and put a bow on it for the day. This is the first big step in a migration into Access for us, right? This is not the final step. This is the first big. We chose strategically to move Gallup Strength Center first because it was our largest volume, our most prominently used, to get all of us comfortable with Access. It allows us as an organization to devote resources that have been split between Access and Strength Center in terms of developers and customer support and all these different things that we're having to support multiple sites. Now, most of that is going to be all in Access. Allows us efficiency to develop new things faster, to develop and support you more effectively if we have resources aimed at the same platform. So we made this decision. We know this is a big change. This is why we've been talking about it for so long. So this is the first big step. Emily and I spend a lot of time already road mapping the other enhancements we want to add to this. We've got an entire map built for 12, 18 months out of things we want to make sure we get built into this, right? So I appreciate the comments and the feedback around what some pain points are going to be, what some things would be nice to have. I assure you, we hear you, and we're working to this. That's I think you'll continue to see us roll out things that make the experience more user-friendly, more effective. On the subscription front, it would be in bad faith if I didn't tell you there are options with the subscription. Absolutely. There are things that will make some of this short-term easy. I'm not sure if for every person that's the best thing or not, which is why it's the best thing I can tell you as your consultant, as your partner, is to tell you to have a conversation with somebody. And so we'll make sure, Jim, we have the email address up on how they should reach out to get help with that, right? On who they should reach out to. Who should they reach out to, Jim? For questions about about the subscriptions.
What you can send an email, coaching@gallup.com.
Coaching@gallup.com.
Be the best way to do that. Yep.
Right. And then we've got teams standing by ready to help answer questions on that. Right. Secondly, is we've got a lot of wonderful things planned, I think, to continue to bring more and more in. And so right now, for example, with the subscription, we only offer one to all of our clients, right? Because Access traditionally has only been aimed at clients. Well, we know now it's got a whole different type of use for it when we have all these consumers in it. Now all of our certified coaches coming into it and all of our corporate clients coming into it. So one of the things we're building out for 2020 is a subscription based and aimed at coaches, right? So that's some of the things we're actively developing. Frankly, it wouldn't make sense for us to launch it right now until we get all of you into it, right? So we're working on this. I appreciate the feedback. We will always ask you for feedback on these kinds of things because your opinions are invaluable in how this works, right? So I sincerely appreciate all of you taking the time to join us today. If you're watching this after the fact, thanks for taking 50 minutes of your life to do this after the fact. I also encourage you, we have 3 more webinars planned for next week, right? So on Tuesday, we have an early morning in the States, a midday, and then a late evening so that we're going to get a little more technical on those. We'll have a little bit more QA driven, a little less time of us just demoing the site. Great opportunities if you have things you're noodling on over the weekend that you want to come back to us with in greater detail. But Jim, anything else you'd add?
Yeah, you want me to wrap it?
Let's wrap it. Or unless
Emily?
Well, the only thing I wanted to say was just about the transition period and your codes, and if they're out with your clients or whomever, and what they'll experience that next day after we get into Access. So, if you have Gallup Strength Center code and you type in gallupstrengthcenter.com, you'll be redirected to gallup.com/CliftonStrengths, our beautiful new marketing site that we have been building in conjunction with this. And then you'll be able to hit redeem code. It's up in the upper right, just as it was with Gallup Strength Center. So it feels very similar. When you hit redeem code, you'll be taken to a redemption page, very similar to Gallup Strength Center. You're actually on Access, but the user won't really know that. And then you'll be taken directly into registration and assessment. So the user, the individual, will really have a seamless experience where we'll be rerouting them throughout the process, and they should not feel any hiccups. And so just wanted to allay any fears people might have around that new process after the switch over.
Emily, there used to be a link or a box for the digital kits that we had at the Gallup Strength Center. Is that coming? I didn't see that, and there's been some questions. Is that coming back, or what do they need to know?
Yeah, so that one is transitioning from its current home of BTI, it's called, and into our LMS system. So as
learning management system.
Yep, our learning management, where I talked about that all 34 e-learning module. We want that to be our central place where you get all of your resources and have it more interactive. And that's being built in that area. As soon as it's ready, which should be later this year to very early next, then you'll be able to access those in your learning management system within Gallup Access.
So for those who've gotten kind of used to that, and in the interim, go to courses.gallup.com. That's actually the site where it lives today. Now that'll still work post conversion, the courses.gallup.com. Okay. Good. I didn't verify that, so we're doing this live. So you can go out there and access your kit that way in the process. I put that link in a lot. Courses.gallup.com is available out there in the transition. Austin, anything else?
So again, thank you, Jim, for pulling this together, for being the wonderful MC and master sort of puppeteer behind the scenes with handling getting us all the best questions. Emily, thank you for the time. And y'all, I'm gonna take a minute. This is not something that happens overnight. This kind of a build, this kind of a transition has been months, if not years in the making. And Emily and her teams have been working incredibly hard to pull this off. So Emily, thank you, not just for the hour today, but for the countless hours over the last 6, 9, 12 months making this happen. Sincerely, thank you. I know our coaches, our customers, our clients are very grateful as well. So we appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Yes, the development team has been hard at work for the past months, and it has been a labor of love, and we're so excited to bring it to everyone and very excited for the launch.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It'll be great indeed. And if you saw some things here, just a reminder, if you saw some things here and you're a little alarmed or whatever, take a second, couple deep breaths, maybe listen to Theme Thursday and some of our talent mindfulness exercises. Just do some breathing. It'll be okay. We will get you through this. It will be just fine. Rewatch the video again, maybe tomorrow. And there's some things we covered a ton, and there's some things you might have missed. There may be some things you need to write down, like that courses.gallup.com. A couple things I'll remind you of is all the resources are moving as well. So Emily mentioned Gallup Strength Center. From starting the 21st, it will now be my.gallup.com or gallup.com/Clifton. No, gallup.com/access, right?
No,
both those.
Well,
right?
And CliftonStrengths too.
Okay, and CliftonStrengths will work. We're moving all of the blog content as well. So if you found stuff out at coaching.gallup.com, we have moved 700 pieces of content from that coaching site onto Gallup and gallup.com. That'll be available as well, gallup.com/CliftonStrengths. We mentioned if you want to stay up to date or sign up for the Tuesday sessions or see what time they are available or get those on your calendar, head out right now, gallup.eventbrite.com. Austin is not joking. That's really designed. Those 3 sessions are designed for your questions. So be there, show up. If you still got questions after the fact, you can send us to us in an email, coaching@gallup.com. Sign up at gallup.eventbrite.com for all the sessions we have. Follow us there, and I'll send you notifications every time we send something out. And of course, I will be there for you on Facebook. So facebook.com/groups. We're going to have a massive counseling session after this, Austin. Facebook.com/groups/called-to-coach. Get you there as well. I want to thank you for joining us. We'll see you Tuesday in whatever time slot works for you. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.